Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So, I am recording this on the first day of school for my 3rd and 6th grader, and there's a good chance I'm going to burst into tears. As I've said to my parents today, if I didn't love the schools that my kids went to so much, they would 100% be homeschooled. Period. End of story. Like, I do truly enjoy being with my kids that much. And was interesting kind of the spiral that happened this morning after I dropped them off. And I wonder if I'm not the only one here where this happens, right? So drop them off and immediately felt like a failure of a parent. And then it just spiraled to like, why aren't you further along here? Why aren't you this? Why are you that? It started to snowball and get out of control, quite frankly. So I came home, I did a workout in the pool, and I said, you know what, I'm going to work out until I shift the energy. And it took me about 25 minutes for the energy to start shifting. And then I got hit with like all these little fires to put out between our businesses. Real estate text messages and emails from source equipment, and it just was like rapid fire. And I struggled to stay in a better space. And I was really kind of in a funk until I sat down to record this. And for whatever reason, when I sit down to record these, the energy shifts almost instantaneously. So in terms of all of that, I believed I've moved through it. I could certainly sit and cry and have a bit more of a sob situation happen. But I do trust that my children are in good hands. Like I said, if it weren't for the fact that I loved their school so much, I would 100% homeschool. And the thing is, I go through this every year for the first month because I am so great at my time management that I probably could add that to my plate and be okay. But I feel there's more that I'm supposed to be doing with my time while they're at school this year. It was actually something that I was reflecting on yesterday. What are my school year goals? Because I really make sure that my summers are pretty open and flexible so that I have the ability to be present with my kids when they are home, which is also why I spend my day from their school day essentially being insanely productive so that when I am with them, I can be fully present. And there was a little voice in my head this morning that was like, what are you doing today that you couldn't do with your kids at home? And the truth was, there's nothing that I'm doing today that I couldn't do with my kids home because we have such a great balance and chemistry, and they know, hey, if mom's gonna jump on and do a podcast, or she's gonna take a call, or, you know, she's got to run to the grocery store, whatever it is, right? Like, my kids are very chill, go with the flow. And I quite frankly just miss them. They are fun to be around. And I'm going to fight back these tears a little bit here. But I do feel like I am being asked to step into something bigger that's going to take a bit more time for myself. And I know that this year I absolutely want to write a book. I did write a book last year. It was more of a journal than it was a book. And I know that this year I am being called to do a book. So that will be something that is actually already slated for my to-do list. And I'm also looking forward to whatever kind of a race I come up. Quite frankly, I do enjoy the routine, for sure. I operate well in a routine, but really just, I did say, like, maybe I could just drop them off at school until noontime. and then pick them up after that. Like, could that be a thing? Yeah, there's actually a school nearby that has that, but I digress. So, nevertheless, now I've got this little, I'm sorry, I'm a hot mess right now. I apologize. We're having this situation. I don't even know. There we go. So, the school season has started, and I'll be honest, I was way more excited about the soccer season starting than I was the school year. Again, I just really enjoy being with my kids. My 16-year-old, she starts tomorrow, and she saw me come home, and she was like, what's wrong with you? I said, well, I really just miss the girls. And she was like, you cry when we leave? Yeah, I do. Absolutely, 100% when you all leave. And I'll cry tomorrow when you leave too. It is just who I am. And I'm feeling pulled to add kind of this little caveat. So a few years ago, several years ago now, I had a call, I forget her name, Georgina, I believe is her first name, forget her last name. She wrote a book called Soul Side Up, and I had a call with her. She does intuitive calls, and one of the things that she brought to my attention was that, well, I had asked her, hey, did I have any past lives? And she was like, well, do you think you did? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've been here before, not necessarily here, but like here before. And she said, yeah. She said, actually, in the previous life, you were a wife to a lavender farmer in France, and she said you died giving birth to your 8th child. So she said this lifetime is about the children for you, and you can take it as you want. What I found super interesting was the day before I had this call with her, I was watching one of those screensavers come up on the TV, right? Like when it falls asleep, you get all those screensavers. And one of the pictures was a lavender field in Provence. And I remember looking at that image and immediately feeling at home. And then I had this call, and that's what she said. And I thought, this is so interesting. And so I've also did some work recently because I was trying to figure out, like, and this was my own personal deep dive work, right? Like, I felt like I was being pulled to something, but that I was hitting a lot of resistance to it, right? And what I realized was what some people term as your meta value is actually the underlying value of why you do something. And oftentimes, because we don't pay attention to this meta value, we get stuck. We don't seem to make any forward motion. And so I was doing some journaling around it, and I recalled that my meta value is actually my children. So it is, if it's for them, it is much easier for me to achieve. If it is not for them, if it's something that doesn't seem to align with them, it is much harder for me to push through and to actually make it happen. And so that was a really interesting thing that showed up again in my journaling just a couple weeks ago. I journaled through it because I, again, felt like I was hitting some resistance as to moving forward with my businesses. So that was a lot of kind of stream of consciousness. And I don't really have another plan for that. That's where we're at today. Just sharing that. Could definitely go off on a little bit of a tangent on a bunch of things, but I think we're just going to settle with that one. And happy back to school, right? No, it's good. I loved school, and I know my children will gain something from it on some level whatsoever. My husband and I are actually in the process of figuring out where our kids can fit into our businesses, so that we can continue to work with our children. And so it's not how do we protect them and keep them in our own little bubble. It's, okay, what can you do now with other people that will foster you and help you better with where we see our business going. For instance, my son is studying to take his real estate, to get his real estate license. And that is a key component. And then I've started to chat with, the girls about, what is interesting to them. Of course, we have a third grader, a sixth grader, and a junior, and maybe they don't know. But I do love the idea of a family business, 100%, and being able to bring my kids into it and have them on board in the areas that they love. And so maybe that means we start another business down the road, for another area, depending on what they're at. But family business is definitely where I see us going. So, yeah, you got all the things in a nutshell today. I'm going to let you go. I will sign off here, do another episode that's maybe a little bit more grounded, and I will talk to you all soon. As always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.